Okay, we got to talk BBBY here because there are some risks here, but not necessarily in the most bearish manner. But there are a few signals that are signaling a continuation to the downside, but there could be a reason as to why that downside may be apparent. Let's go ahead and go over those signals now. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again on this fine Thursday. This is ARCa coming at you with the technicals and raw price action thread of analysis of BBBY. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining the trading community in Discord called ARCab. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, so yeah, we're looking at BBBY on the 5-day chart here, and yesterday we did point out the resistance that we faced at the 21-day exponential moving average, and actually came right back down and started to test our newly converted resistance into now a support, right? So this is usually typical for us to validate the possibilities of an upside continuation based on the reclaiming of this very large, very massive broadening descending wedge that we've been riding since January 26, 2021. Okay, so this is a large scale broadening wedge, and it could be showing a macro scale reversal, but I'm talking about a macro scale reversal as in weeks and months ahead, if even Bed Bath & Beyond exists at that point, you know. So beyond its own name. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and continue on the analysis here to the next chart. Okay, so we did touch on a couple things here. We were looking at this potential. Pennant, right? So we've been building it, and we also did mention in yesterday's analysis the potential of us actually riding a descending channel. Okay, so if the projections are correct, and if this candle structure, now that we have literally, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we have 8 more candles than yesterday, then I kind of see this pattern as a potential continuation to the way down. Okay, and it's actually in correlation to this descending channel, which is also a bullish formation on its own, except that this one takes a little longer to resolve. Okay, so if we look at the relevant support on the 5-day, we can actually see that SMA 10 is landing at about, right here, this green line is landing at about $3 flat. Okay, so if we start to kind of combine that with the price action here, we can actually see that about $3 is right down here, which is actually, it shares confluence with the top of this candle. It shares the confluence with the opening and closing of these candles here. So it does have some rhyming. Okay, so which means that if we are already dipping down to the $3 area, then a wick down to test that support of the descending channel could be in line here. It could be in the cards, right? So which essentially would be around $2.60, around $2.60 before a recovery here, and then starting the ascent. So if we're looking at short-term trade professionals, if I'm talking about institutional, day trade whales and stuff, so that there could be the potential to what we were building is actually a strategy right now. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and build that strategy now. So it would be something like this. Okay, so we have X as the resistance. We have an A, we have a B, and then essentially we would somewhere find C, and then we would, of course, just like the other pattern, we would then find that D, right? Just like this, no pun intended, of course. Guys, come on. All right, so yeah, it could be something like this. We're doing an ABCD strategy, and of course, the timing is not. Please don't use the timing as a rule here. In fact, I can potentially get this to be more along the lines of what it actually would be, right? So if we were looking at bi-hourly iterations here. So it would be essentially something like this. Just don't take it like too literal. I'm just giving you a point of reference for us to understand the potentials of what could be happening here, as this strategy is a very popular strategy amongst a lot of professional traders and amateur traders alike. Okay, so there is that potential here. Okay, you guys. So definitely know that there is a little bit of a risk in place right now. Okay, so it looks like the bi-hourly traders were actually trying to respect the pennant and keeping that support. Okay, but looking at the price action here in a very discretionary manner, it looks like we could potentially be setting up for a continuation to the way down. Okay, kind of like a ladder. Okay, and eventually find that bottom support. So let's go ahead and move on to the next chart and validate the downside. Okay, so first of all, we did notice in yesterday's analysis that we had some divergence. Okay, so divergence or divergence is the opposition of price action versus momentum, and in this case, momentum represented by the RSI, Relative Strength Index. We did notice that we had, 1 and 2 drives of hidden bearish divergence, which usually happens when momentum is making a series of higher highs and price action is making a series of lower highs. Okay, so as you can see, the divergence is present. And they are living out presently, and they are actually happening. So let's go ahead and open up the multi-pane here. So we can gauge a true direction for the next session, right? So just like always, guys, we're going to start off with that 30-minute time frame. Guys, before we continue, make sure to not fall for those scammers in the comments. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of scammers saying text me or WhatsApp me. Guys, I will never share my information on a comment, period. Never. And none of you have my phone number either. Okay, so I'm never going to share my phone number like that, guys. I'm not going to play any games like that because what I'm doing here is essentially for my family. I have my son, my daughter. That means too much to me for me to mess around like that. Okay, you guys, I'm not some young hooligan or whatever. I'm trying to actually do this professionally for a living. So this is not a game, okay? Stay away from the thieves. Stay away from the scammers. They want your cash. Do not by any means respond to them or engage in any type of conversation with them. Okay, my moderators and I have actually tried to delete and report these scammers, but they just keep coming back. Like if it was like Medusa or something, you just keep on cutting it and it just keeps on coming back. You know what I mean? Or I forgot what the analogy is. I'm sorry if that was a wrong analogy, but you get what I mean. Okay, so definitely watch out with that. Okay, you guys. So now, let's go ahead and start off with the immediate short-term time frame, 30-minute. You can see that we are actually now starting to make a fresh cross to the downside, and that's below the 14-day moving average. Okay, so the pink line represents that 14-day simple, and the purple line represents the signal, the RSI signal itself. Okay, so we are suggesting a continuation to the downside, and we are also approaching that the deep areas of the bear weakness percentile, which is usually a gravitational zone that can kind of pull us right back into that following zone, which would be the bear strength percentile. Okay, so the upper half is the bullish control zone, the lower half is the bearish control zone. Okay, so you have weakness and weakness, you have strength and strength. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at the bi-hourly. Bi-hourly has actually made that bearish cross below the moving average, right? And now it is using that moving average as a form of resistance and or a guide towards that way down. Okay, so now the 6-hour is also showing weakness, and it is approaching that gravitational zone. This is the shallow areas of the bull weakness percentile, which usually means that we can be gravitated right back into the next zone. Okay, so now the 12-hour is also showing some weakness as well, now within the bull weakness, and it has rejected the bull strength percentile. Okay, so the moving average is starting to kind of like pivot towards that. It looks like it's going to start getting influenced by the RSI signal itself. Okay, so the moving average is delayed opposed to the RSI signal. Okay, so the 3-day showing still some upside left, but then as you move into the 5-day, it looks like we do have that downside continuation nonetheless. Okay, so this can, if we're looking at targets to the way down and something that could change sentiment, then if we're basing the suggestions off of momentum, then then essentially I would be kind of looking for some targets. But of course, this is gonna kind of bounce. You know what I mean? Similar to what's happening here, right? So it would be something like finding the support of these candles here, like this at about 321, followed by a bounce testing our current highs or current lows, and then continuing on to the downside and essentially finding some other relevant area of support before bouncing, testing the lows here, and then continuing on like this, right? So please don't take this too seriously. These are just it's just like an idea as to what could potentially happen in a zigzag manner. Okay, so guys, know that I'm not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy or sell any assets. Okay, I need you to do your own DD, and everything will be just fine. Okay, you guys. So yeah, so if you I know that it's taking me a while to reply to everyone, guys. There's a lot of messages coming in, and I want to try and reply to as many as I can, right? But the reality of the deal here is that I'm probably not ever going to be able to do that as the ARCa brand grows and more people start to come into the channels and stuff, and it's very humbling, right? But I just want you to know that I don't mean any offense when I don't respond to you. It's just that there is a huge accumulation of people, and you know, like like with anything else, things kind of get buried, right? So. But nonetheless, you guys, I appreciate all of your support, and I appreciate your views. So, but with that said, I wish you well, a very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.